videos or seen the front of the box. I'm the one that designed the game, and today I'll be playing the Spirit of Death, Ginsui.
Fun.
I know.
I'm Mark, here with Kolossal. I've obviously been on the other live streams as well. And I will be playing the role of Mizuchi, the beautiful river spirit, because I'm a beautiful river spirit.
You are.
Absolutely. And then we have, I don't know if we're not on, we're over here. We have
Lindsay.
There you go, Lindsay. And Lindsay?
You'll probably have to like scoot in for people to see when
I'll say,
we do this.
over here, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
Oh,
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the newest member, well, one of the newest members of the team, and I am playing
Hala.
Hala.
Hala. Oh.
So we have two new players, and the other
Yep.
one is.
Hi, I'm Chris. I just joined Kolossal this week as a developer as well, and I will be playing Getsu, the Kami of Rage.
It's gonna be awesome. So this
And
is
I'm
gonna
here. Hi.
Kira's here as well. Kira will be moderating, and so she'll be taking care of chat. Any questions that come through, if there are questions that she wants to ask us, she'll cut us off and tell us to stop playing to answer questions. She'll make sure we stay on task as well, which is awesome. I don't know about these three, but I definitely need guidance to stay on task. One of the cool things about this, because we do have a couple of new team members that are playing, they're not as familiar with the game as the other players on the other streams have been. I mean, AJ and I played the two-player. Obviously, the designer knows his own game. I've played it a lot. With a three-player stream, we had Kira and Kevin, who played quite a bit. And so, but with the four-player game, we've got Lindsay and we've got Chris here who haven't played a whole lot. So what's unique about that is you'll get to see not only how a new player will pick up the game and how easy it is to pick up, but they may be asking some of the same questions as we go along that you might be asking during your first plays as well. So I think it's really cool to have some new players on the stream, so you can get a feel for kind of a learning curve of it.
Hey, Jason just joined. He just
Jason.
backed, and he's so excited to receive his copy when we're all done.
Thank you so much, Jason. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Jason.
it.
Fantastic. AJ.
Mark.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm looking at the board, and it looks like you are our first player.
I am. So
coincidentally, you set up the board. You're the first player to see how this works.
Yeah, it's kind of the perk of setting up the board. I get to do things. Real quick, everybody does need to remove 2 shrines. That is a rule a lot of people forget in the 4-player game, so there are a slightly less number of shrines, and that's to make sure that there's still people running out
Two of your
creating
shrines.
some interesting tension in the game. So there's 2 shrines from everybody. That's a quick tax.
There you go.
All right, gonna throw those back in the box.
Jaden's wife backed it too. He's excited and he's joined as well. Thanks.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Jaden,
Thank
and
you.
Jaden's wife.
It's exciting.
All right.
I've seen a lot of that in the comments, of either the comments or people sending messages saying that my wife likes this, my wife loves the art, I think this is something my wife will play with me. I think that's really awesome.
Well, I'm trying to appeal to the whole family, but
Well, absolutely,
as
absolutely.
long as one person in the family.
I don't play with
dies,
my
that's
kids
good.
anymore. They gang up on me.
All right, so it is the first year, so we have access to 3 of our action cubes instead of the full 5. And it looks like our current goal card is to control 2 huts and a stilt house, or 2 stilt houses and a hut. All right, in fact, let's go ahead and move that back over here.
There you go.
Sorry, we were trying to adjust. So I'm going to go ahead and spin 2 of my cubes, boom, 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 to activate my final march. Where are my shrines? They're right here. And I'm going to choose a space, in this case a stilt house, and place a shrine there in 2 different villages. I'm going to go way across the board. Just kind of invade Lindsay's space.
Wow.
And go on ahead and place one on a hut right here. And that was all 3 of my action cubes. Not the most exciting turn, but I got long-term plans here.
Okay.
So,
Well,
your
then.
turn, Mark.
Absolutely, doing the long-term plans. And by the way, for those who don't know who watched the other live streams, the 2-player and the 3-player, you may notice our background, our setting is a little different than what it's been in the past. We are actually in an office space for Kolossal, and so if you see some, I'll show you guys the game. So
Built our shelfie yet.
yeah, shelfie, selfie. All right, so it's my turn, and I think I am simply going to, just because I like the goals, I'm going to use an action cube to place a shrine into Stilt House. We're going to place into this hut, and we're going to place into this hut. So that is 2 huts and a Stilt House, which gives me the Wealthy Village token since I'm in the Wealthy Village. So simple, just boom, boom, boom play, and grab a village token to score a victory point.
In this first year. It gets quite a
In
bit
the
more
first year.
complicated later.
Yeah, it gets really nasty later. I get to start taking AJ shrines out of my way.
Why?
Jamie popped in to say she loves seeing how far the game has come. AJ, you're a rock star. And
Thanks,
Derek,
Jamie.
of course, says he knows you guys.
Derek,
Yes,
like the Derek,
the Derek,
Funkhauser?
Dr. Funk,
the Derek, the most Derek of all Dereks.
the
Derek
Pharaoh Derek,
Pharaoh Derek.
Pharaoh Derek
Funkhauser.
from the live
Pharaoh
stream.
Yes.
That video was
Thanks for
amazing, by
joining,
the way,
guys.
Derek. You're awesome.
Oh, yeah. Loved the space game last night. The name is escaping me. I was watching their
Oh, Space Princess.
Yes,
yes, the one they're doing for
Princess.
charity.
Oh,
That's
that's
cool.
Much fun.
The Carrie Fisher Foundation. That's awesome.
It's super cool.
All right, so we're over to Lindsay. Lindsay gets to play her shrines how she would like to play them.
I'm gonna put all 3 of them in the at remove current village.
Boom, boom. Alright, looks like Lindsay's chasing the goals as well. And building a nice little shrine chain just like Mark, so she can win the influence there at the end. I'm just going to go ahead and commentate this like it's a sports
Be
one.
a commentator.
You have a great voice for it,
Absolutely.
too.
I like to do it.
So unfortunately you went into 3 huts, so you don't get the village goal, but you did set yourself up for a nice influence chain at the end. Now if you had gone into a stilt house, the gray covered house, you would have completed the
Here.
goal.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yep. And
So they don't have to all be on a line. It just
Nope.
has to be
Not
2
for
there.
this one.
Okay.
Now
Not for this
we do have
particular
other
goal.
goals where it does show a chain and it says on the card that it must
Yeah.
be all together
Okay.
or
Yeah.
adjacent
Got
to
this
it.
one is just literally the types of spaces. So you could have even done, a diagonal here, 2 stilt houses and a hut, and it would have completed the goal.
Okay.
So
The
Yeah.
one other time I played this, I thought it had to be in a pattern. So
Yes.
Are these
Sometimes it
stilt
does.
houses adjacent to these fields and whatnot, or where the water separates them?
They are.
They are.
yeah,
just
they're adjacent here, but these 2 stilt houses are not
right because of the pond. Okay,
Yes.
just wanted to make sure.
With a
Mm.
All
little
right.
rock with a sheet egg.
So I will spend my first 2 on add or remove, and I will place here. Oop,
So
this one.
unfortunately these shrines got quite a few coats of paint,
They like to
so
stick.
they don't stick very well.
And then I will
Final
use
version will
my
be a bit nicer.
I'll use my kata ability to add a shrine or stilt house to any village and increase my rage by 1
It's getting a little bit angry.
and
Uh-oh.
achieve my goal.
And there it
The
is.
Holy
So we have
Village
our
token?
second, and yes, there you are,
Alright,
sir.
awesome.
That's
And again,
awesome.
whenever you acquire 4 different village tokens, then you immediately trade them in for 6 victory points. It's one of the major routes of victory in the game. However, this is now the end of the round. I was the first player, so the board is going to rotate to the left, and Mark is in front of the blue admin token. So Mark, take
I get
it
to be
away.
first. All right, I get my 3 action cubes back, and no one's in my way yet. So I think again, I really like the. Actually, I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to Wellspring, which lets me place a shrine in a field, a forest, or stilt house, and I get to do 2 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and take the stilt house, and I'm going to take the field, which is going to give me 2 favor. Start climbing that track, because this is another key way of scoring points, is to climb the favor in nature tracks.
Very smart.
I will use an add to add a shrine to a hut, and use an add to add a shrine to another hut. So we have 2 huts and a stilt house. That gives me the farming village token,
There you are.
taking me to 2 of the 4 tokens that I need to turn in. It's awesome.
All right, Lindsay.
Alright. Are these the temples?
Nope,
These are
the
just
temple
stilt
is
houses.
one.
Yep, there's
Temple,
1
okay.
temple. Yep. So it's kind of mean in the way I placed my shrines.
You've kind of
Because I can,
blocked off
because
all
she
the
can, because she
influence
can do
there.
she can do the stilt house and the 2 huts and still get the gold, but
Yeah.
her shrines are no longer contiguous because I've blocked it off.
So it was a very smart move.
It was.
Sometimes I have smart moments. Awesome. So this is a.
Now,
I like the.
Lindsay, I would look at your first ability there, Virgin, which allows you to add shrines to huts and stilt houses for 1 cube. The only downside is that an opponent gets added to a field. So that's what makes Hollow really powerful in the early game. She's able to fill up a lot of spaces with just 1
Oh,
cube.
okay.
Get a
So
lot
let's
of
see.
that really awesome, extra work the favor nature track.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whew.
So boom,
Alright.
she gets
Huts,
2 huts,
and then you have to choose an opponent that gets to place in a field.
or gain 1 favor, but that's mostly for whenever all the fields are filled up.
Right.
Chris.
Oh, what an excellent choice,
Chris
Lindsay.
gets to place in a
So
field.
when I get angry, I will not be killing Lindsay.
There you go.
Shrines.
And it's a field in any village,
A field in
so
any
you don't have to go in
village.
your village if you don't want to. It
Yeah.
can be anywhere.
Leave your
I
village
like this
behind.
field right
You like
here.
that field? What is it about that field
Way,
that's speaking to you?
Well, there's
It's
you
in
know,
my village.
shrines over there that might need a little
And
investigation.
you will get 2 favor for
2
going in that
favor.
field, even though
Awesome.
it's not your turn.
Boom, boom. All right, Lindsay, you still have 2 cubes left.
So if I add remove the last 2, I can remove this one.
You can.
can
And take
remove-
Mark out of there, breaking up his chain.
And then
Remember
add
you were bragging
in.
about
I was
that?
bragging about that
And
chain.
achieve commie goals.
So I get
Yeah,
my
there it
shrine
is.
back. You get a goal, so
Nicely
you have
done.
a token.
So even though Mark's goal was interrupted, he still keeps the token. Those
Yes.
don't go away.
Yeah,
Same
mine
with
goes.
favor and nature. So.
Right. So,
Alright.
which is good.
That's 3.
Because that could get really rough if you lost things.
Oh,
because
that'd be
of-
mean. That'd really be a take that game.
Yeah.
Alright, I will. Let's see. I will use my kata once more to increase my rage.
Oh, just getting angry.
Place in a stilt house,
There it is.
and then just my other 2 for the basic action. So adding,
Add,
and I will achieve my goal again. 2 stilt house.
Fishing village. There it is.
Fishing village.
Boom, boom, boom.
Alright.
An angry guy going fishing. Makes sense.
He's gotta
It
work
soothes
on
the
it.
soul.
He does.
right?
He does. He's trying to work on his anger. They tell you to find a positive outlet.
I'm going to choose.
Usually they mean something more aggressive.
Sushi,
Usually.
sushi chef, right?
Sushi.
Nope. Gonna go
That's
down
how
during this
that
hut.
was how it was invented.
So other hut.
Yeah.
So I just completed the goal. So even though I'm not currently in the farming village, I just used my final march to go or add a shrine to the farming village and complete the goal. So I will gain that token.
So he's getting the farming village token, even though
Yep.
he's currently in the holy village, which is pretty awesome.
Then I will add a shrine to a stilt house and start working on that one.
Yeah, sure. Get in my way.
I will get in your
Appreciate
way.
that.
And then Mark was the first player, so again, the board is going to rotate. We are now halfway through the first year.
And Lindsay is now our first player.
Let's see it, Lindsay.
Okay.
We got a lot of people in your way over there.
Yeah.
Man, you blocked me out over here.
Hey, hey, hey.
Blocked me out.
I didn't block you. Chris is the one that's taken up most of those spaces there.
I know. I like to blame you.
I know, you know.
Let's see here.
So,
I'm not sure what I want to do.
so some great moves for you since you don't, you may not be able to complete the goal this turn or in this village. Is start working on the favor and nature track. That's actually where Hollow really shines, because every time you go into a field, you're also going to get nature as well as the 2 favor. So you could even build 3 influence along the outside of the village there, which would gain you like what, 4 favor and 5 nature.
Favor. Actually, she'd be balanced.
No, yeah, 4 and 4. I'm doing the math wrong.
That's impressive.
So 1, 2, and 3. Boom. So you gain 4 favor and 4 nature. That is again because your ability that it gives you 1 nature each time. you
Yeah.
go into a
Had anyone else other than Hala taken that same play, we'd get the 4 favor, but we'd only have 2 nature because we don't get the nature boost from being in the fields. Only Hala gets that.
And
So
now
part of
you-
the asymmetry.
Yep. And that's one of the fun things about her. Makes her a great starting character. What was that?
Are any of our shrines removed at the end of the year automatically? or-
Nope. Yeah, I'm a Death Spear. We're buddies.
Hey,
Rage
yeah.
and death, they go hand in hand. Hey, the fields next to the river, it makes sense. We're buddies.
Oh,
Yay!
You
Except for that part where she didn't help you.
That is true. I'll just flood your
Sorry.
fields until your
Okay,
crops
so
die.
my turn. It is my turn. So let's see here. I will copy my play again from the previous turns. It seems like the
Oh,
best move for me
he's
right
doing-
now.
He's getting madder. He's about to pop.
So we come in here, increase my rage to 3,
I wonder if we'll get to the point.
so you can all watch your stuff.
The live stream that you and I did with the when I was playing Ketsugetsu and I kept yelling rage every time one of my shrines got removed. Rage!
I'm more like a
You're like
silent
like a
burn. I
silent
internalize the
anger.
rage. Yeah.
And you completed your goal, so you will gain that wealthy village
Yeah,
token.
which is
One looks like
right at the money.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
Can we call it the Kotahi village?
Oh wow.
No.
Well,
can't.
I'm going to activate my Requiem, and Red, Chris, you're going to be my buddy. You're going to gain 1 favor or 1 nature.
Well, nature it is.
There you go. And I just completed that goal, and that was Requiem, which will allow me to work outside of my current village, but I have to hand somebody a free gift. I get the Holy Village token, and then to make up for it, because I'm not next to Chris currently, I'm going to remove him in this village from the Stilt House, which puts you at 4, good sir, on your rage track.
No.
There's your shrine.
So, all right. Let's see. After you reach 4th space on the rage track, set the rage track to 0. Remove a shrine adjacent to one of your shrines in your current village. So that has Mark written all over
Oh,
it.
because of course it does.
And die shrine.
Yay! All right, I lost a shrine. Mizuchi is not happy.
I gave 1
feeling good.
favor or 1 nature for removing a shrine, so I'm going to go ahead and
Oh,
jump up
let's
on that favor track.
That's
And for my third
the
action,
third action.
let's see. Let's go on ahead and take over that Stilt House that I just freed up. So let's get
Right.
myself ready to finish that goal. And I'll pass it on to Mark.
That's all right. Mizuchi's coming for you and your stilt houses in future rounds. Just FYI.
I
I love everybody going to stilt houses. I'm not doing anything right now, but years 2 and 3, it's going to get gross.
not a lot of people in the fields and forests, which is unusual.
I
but
know.
again,
Well,
the goal
it's
is
the goal.
mixing
The goal
things up.
drive.
The goal. Everybody
driving
wants
the
the huts and
decisions,
stilt
yeah.
houses. Usually, what you see in during the first year is people are the goals come out and it's generally a pattern. So I just need to. So a lot of people do field, forest, and then a hut to complete that little L shape. Or
One of your
something
best
like that.
moves, because everyone
Yeah.
wants favor in nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this case, like I'm looking at this village and I see with 3 actions, I'm not going to be able to remove 3 shrines and add 3 shrines to get the goal that I need.
No.
So I'm simply going to focus on my favor and nature tracks in this case. So I'm going to add to this field, which is going to grant me 2 favor. I'm going to add to a forest, which is going to grant me 2 nature, and then I'm going to add to this other forest, which will grant me 2 more nature, balancing my tracks at 4 and 4.
Surprised you didn't use Wellspring there.
So I could have gotten more shrines on the board, but I think actually I probably would have been smarter because then I could have I would have had an extra cube to take over temple. That's another interesting thing. No one's in the temples yet.
No one's well. A lot of people underestimate the temples in the early game, or you want to get those early village tokens simply
Yeah.
because the board is empty. It's it's very easy to complete the goals in the first year.
It is.
Second year, really difficult, but we also get the extraction cubes to help us out.
Yep, exactly.
But
And so we're back over to Lindsay, who was our first player, which means the board's going to rotate now. Another quarter turn,
boom, boom, boom. Last turn of the year. Then
And-
we're going to start scoring and handing out villagers.
and Chris becomes our first player. And it's important to point out that when the board rotates, in not just the 4-player game and the 3-player and the 2-player game as well, the first player also rotates in a way.
Yes.
So in the 4-player game, even though AJ was our first player at the start of the year, every time the board is rotated, the first player moves and follows that advent token. So essentially the first player in a 4-player game is always sitting in front of the farming village.
Correct.
And that's important to note because 4 players in a game that plays in 3 rounds, we've had the question, well, that means the 4th player never gets to be the first player, which is not the case. Every player gets to be first player 3 times during the game.
Yes, they just won't. The 4th player in turn won't be the first player at the start of the year
Right.
once, but it still balances out as far as like going first. Each
Exactly. You're all going to play 12 turns, and a quarter, 25% of those turns, you're going to be first player.
time. Yes, and if some people are brave, they can play a 4th year.
They could.
All right.
It's a wonderful thing about board games, homebrewing.
I will use my soul cut action to remove a shrine in the current village and replace one in an opponent's village.
Oh,
Wow.
and now he has an influence chain of 4 over there, and you just gained 2 nature.
Nature.
Boom, boom.
All right, and 1 rage because I removed one of my own temples, and then I will
Wow.
add.
I feel like he's picking on me.
It just so happens you're in the wrong place.
I'm just in the way all the time.
It's not personal yet.
Yet.
I like
It's
it.
getting there.
Let's see. I don't see any stilt houses available. Right? Doesn't appear so.
Nope.
If we start treating this like a sports
So-
commentary, I'd really love to have the replay ability. So we can go
Replay.
back, like do the little
I
circle.
will-
thing
Like,
all
just be
thing.
like, oh, look what
Look
he
at that
did.
move.
Look at that
Ooh,
move.
this-
Somebody
We
places
totally
a token
can
on the
do
board.
that if Kickstarter worked with some more
So I
live stream
will.
options.
Well, when Disney buys out Kickstarter, which will eventually happen, then
Right.
we'll be paired up with
place
ESPN.
in,
There we go.
the field or the.
Can we bring in Chris Berman to make all of his sound
Or the,
effects
the
that he does on the
fields?
football free plays?
And
Yes.
that gains me 2 nature or
2
2 favor,
favor, yeah.
right?
Correct.
And then I will place in the temple.
It's like you were
Oh,
watching.
first temple of the
was.
game.
I was
You're back
watching.
on camera.
I was watching. No, I was watching the leg of the tripod because I thought you were going to set it down on the wire.
All right,
the
I'm
back of
done.
the camera, but it
All
didn't.
Well, he
right.
was saying,
So-
I want to make sure everybody could see the stilt house situation he was commenting on. So it was a little
Oh.
shaky, but you guys could see it. Does Soul Cut cause Ketsugetsu to gain rage?
Yes, it does.
It does, because he is removing his own shrine, and his passive ability states that any player, or whenever one of his shrines is removed. What's the exact word?
It's-
After any
After
player
any
removes
player.
one of
Player,
your
thank
one
you.
of your shrines.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question, William.
So he does indeed. He can remove his own stuff to make himself angrier and climb that track even faster, which is one of my favorite ways to play. And another advantage of doing so is you are limited by the number of shrines. So if Ketsugetsu spreads all of his shrines all over the board and has no shrines left, he can't add anything to the board until something gets removed. So not only does he remove his own shrine to gain rage, he's also putting a shrine back in his supply.
And he's one of the few spirits that benefits from that.
Absolutely.
Jinsui being the other one, because he gains a favor in nature for each one he removed.
Exactly.
So, again, we're brothers.
We're brothers.
yeah.
Brothers in arms.
I keep the afterworld stock for you.
There we
Yeah.
go, yeah.
So it's my turn again here, huh? And I suppose I need a stilt house. We're gonna replace an opponent's shrine in a stilt house. Sorry,
Do
AJ.
it. You jerk.
You get to place this shrine though in
You are
that
messing
village.
with death.
I don't care.
I'm going to go into the forest and gain some nature, because I'm really falling behind on the track compared to you guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to do. I'm not going to be getting my token this time, so I'm going to add to the field. Yeah, let's go here. And I'll use. I will go ahead. Oh, I forgot to take my favor for that. I'll use my third token to go into the temple
Ooh.
and grab a nature for that. And now, if anyone ends up tied, which right now doesn't seem. Well, yeah, it does actually. So I will
Is that
determine.
a special
tiebreaker.
ability of your guy, Mark, that you get something for playing in the temple?
No, everybody.
No, when you play in the temple, and whenever you place a shrine in the temple, you get 1 favor or 1 nature. It's your
I
choice.
did not take a nature. I didn't take anything.
Oh yeah, I didn't,
Yep.
yeah. So I grabbed a nature because obviously it was the lower of the two. The other important piece with the temples is when we do influence for villagers at the end of the round. In this particular village, if this was the end state of the board at the end of this year, Lindsay with her 3 shrines would get first pick easily. But then looking at the other 3 colors of shrines, we all have essentially a chain of 1 because nothing is contiguous or adjacent. With myself being in the temple, I get to determine the order of those 3 tied players. And that would be true even if I wasn't part of the tie. I would get to pick my favorite player at the table, so i.e. not AJ.
If anything, it should be Chris for turning this shrine sideways like a barbarian. What is that?
Rage, bro.
We're on camera,
Rage.
sir.
Rage.
Rage. That's how the rage spirit rolls.
And we are over to Lindsay, and holla.
No.
It happens every
No.
time
Because you guys make it happen every time.
because it's awesome.
I blame Kira.
Oh,
I
wow.
am going to
She did place the holla gif on BG. I believe it was BGG,
Yes.
the carpool karaoke.
So let's do the quick breakdown of
Do the
this. So
math
you went
here.
into the field,
So you get in the field.
2
so you-
favor.
2 favor, and because of your passive ability, you're also going to get 1 nature. You went into a forest, so you're going to get 2 nature.
Boom, boom.
And then you went in the temple, so then it's your choice 1 favor or 1 nature as to what you want for the. There you go.
Ooh, she's going brave.
Yes, she is.
It's been but at the end of the year, it's the
It's the
lowest of the
lowest.
2 tracks that you'll score victory points on.
I think she's okay.
Oh
She'll be
yeah,
all
I mean, luckily there's villagers here that will help you balance out a lot of those tracks.
Exactly.
And that was your 3rd action cube. Chris was our first player, so the board is going to rotate, and that is the end of the year and time to hand out villagers. So,
Not
We're good.
prizes?
no,
Village.
We're not handing out
villagers.
prizes
We're,
anymore.
no, we're handing out villagers. Villager decks. All right, so we're going to take a look. We always start with the farming village. Take a look here and see who has the longest chain of contiguous shrines. And it looks like Mark over here is our winner. So we're going to draft
Apologies
cards
for the
equal
victory
to the
dance.
number of players, which is 4 in this case. And Mark gets first pick.
Let's see, what do I want to not give people? Well, I believe I'm going to take the priest. I'll hold this up to this camera here. The priest grants me 3 nature, and it's also worth 3 victory points at the end of the game.
Very good.
So I want the end game victory points. I mean, the 3 nature really doesn't do me much. I mean, I guess it does result in a point, but and then we're looking at the shrine. So where these cards go next is determined by influence. Lindsay has a chain of 3. AJ has a chain of 3. Tiebreaker is the person in the village, which is Chris. So again,
in the temple.
or in the temple. So again, Chris, who is not involved in the tie, gets to decide where these cards go next.
I seem to remember Lindsay helping me out early in the round. So
You-
AJ.
Thank you.
Oh, he threw a curve at me even. I was already going this way.
You're doing so well over there.
That
I
is
gotta
true.
say though, Lindsay, slim pickings over here.
It really is.
Yeah.
So AJ,
So I got the farmer, which allows me to add a shrine to a field within this village. But unfortunately, all the fields have already been filled up. So his claim effect isn't going to do anything for me. But he's still worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. So I'm going to go on ahead and take him.
and so since Lindsay was the other tied player, she gets the next choice.
Yes.
And then Chris, with his chain of 1 shrine
The
in this
leftovers.
village, gets whatever's left over.
Yep.
Do you know what the leftover is?
I know.
If not, you'll know what it is soon.
I bet it's a
Peasant.
Peasant.
Okay.
So what did you get, Lindsay?
I got the farmer. I was
Alright.
trying to build in this village. You may complete a goal in this way.
So again, she got the farmer. All the fields are full, so she can't do anything there. But the 2 victory points at the end are great. And the reason she didn't want that is because of what Chris got.
I got the peasant. This is worth half a VP, rounded down during the end of the game scoring.
Yep.
So,
And no
There's
claimability.
Nothing.
and it doesn't add
There's no-
together with others.
Correct.
Huh. And
The-
I don't know about my board here, but it is increasing my rage token.
Peasants are fantastic. They're worth
No,
half a
they're not.
point. Peasants are people too, AJ.
Not in this game.
They're worth half a point. That are
Half a person.
they're worth half a point, and then it just basically means you need 2 of them to score a victory point.
Yeah, every
and
pair of peasants
every pair
is
is
worth
worth
1
1
victory
point.
point.
But a little trickier wording sometimes,
Yes.
which is good. So
Oh, so they do.
Got to be
stack.
precise.
they
with
do
your word.
stack. So yeah, so that peasant you have now is worth half. The reason it says on that you don't round
Right.
is so a half. Right now you have no in the game
Right,
points.
right.
If you get another peasant, now you've got a point at the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
game.
Can't wait for more
Super
peasants.
valuable.
Oh, there's
Alright.
plenty of them. They're peasants are the highest population in each of the decks. You're almost guaranteed to see a peasant.
You will. It's pretty rare that when you draw 4 cards off the deck, one of the 4 is not a peasant. It happens, but it's not common. So we look over here, and we have Lindsay has a chain of 3, and then none of us have a chain. So tiebreaker here is going to be interesting. Lindsay's going to get first pick this over here in the wealthy village, and then the next bit is going to be.
That's why I had to give the goods to AJ. She's crushing this.
She is. She's been able to spread around the village. She's got that one as well.
What is that? You
Trying
have
to get a better
4,
angle here, guys. So
6.
sorry for the bouncing camera.
That's fine.
The sun changing is causing some glare, so I'm trying to fix it while we're
Oh,
going
yeah.
through the villages. So
Yeah,
just
we're at a time of day in Indiana where the sun is starting to set, so lighting conditions behind AJ are going to change.
It's just the whole
A bit here.
Cloverfield shaky camera thing.
yes.
Nice motion sickness.
I think I'm gonna go with Noble.
The noble.
Ooh.
Add a shrine to a hut in this village,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a hut available, so that's now yours.
And what's the second
It's-
part of the card
yeah.
say?
Wow, how's it
It
feel to
says
win
you
by
may
more?
complete a goal in this way, and
So-
the goal is 2 huts and a stilt house. 2 huts and a stilt house.
She has now completed the goal again. Normally, you can't complete a goal outside of your turn, but this card has an exception of that
Yep.
rule.
So she's going to gain another wealthy village token.
Boom, boom.
And it's also worth 2 victory points at the end. Now we look at the other shrines in the village. We all have a chain of 1. I have 1 shrine.
That's true.
The tiebreaker is the first tiebreaker. If there's no one in the temple, which in this case there's not, the next tiebreaker is who is most populous in the village.
Correct.
Who has the most total shrines. I have 1, so it's not me. Chris has 3. AJ has 3, so we're still tied. From that point, it's the advent token, first player area
Yep.
goes first. So in this case, AJ would get the tie
Yep.
because you're sitting at the first player. and then Chris will get the next, and I get the leftover peasant.
Come on, peasant.
What I'm kind of hoping is he gets something to pick, and there are 2 peasants left. And that way you get 1 too.
All right.
Probably won't happen.
Rage.
I'm going to take the
Rage.
wild card because I
Rising.
love this guy.
The wild card.
Sensei.
Ooh.
So you get to reveal the top card of any villager deck, and then I can either resolve its claim ability, which is that immediate effect you get, or ignore the claim effect and just keep it for the victory points it's worth. And I'm going to be hunting in a fishing village and hoping I'm getting a hermit.
No.
Yes.
No hermit.
Yes.
Yes.
I did not get the hermit. I only gained the geisha, but I'm still going to keep her for 1 victory point. So I get to keep the sensei and the geisha for my end of game scoring. I'm going to
Alright,
pass the
let's see
remaining
what we
2 cards to
got.
Chris.
All right. Well, advisor, I will gain 3 favor and 3 end of game VP. The favor doesn't do much for me at this point, but we're not done scoring villages.
It's true. There's still priests out there.
I got a peasant.
Woo!
Wealthy village peasant.
You know, if you and Chris team up, that's 1 point.
I know. I'm not teaming up with him though. He's been mean to me.
Rage.
Rage.
Two,
All right.
three,
So now we go to
4.
the fishing village over here, and again with a chain of 3 shrines, we have Lindsay with first pick,
There you are, Lindsay.
and then chains of 1 everywhere.
What do good cards look like, Lindsay?
Yeah.
The advisor's a really good card.
The
That's
advisor-
3
I
victories.
know.
Is that not a tie?
No, because the reason it's not a tie is while I have 3 shrines in the village, mine are not in a continuous line. So it's
Oh, I
looking at the
see.
chain. So you have 3 that are lined up.
Okay.
The rest of us are scattered to the
We're
wind.
scattered all over the place because of this goal.
Yes. But,
Especially in that village.
and of course, you control the temple, Mark.
I do. Which means that I get to determine the order of where it goes from there. And I'm kind of torn. I mean, obviously I'm going to pick myself second. But I normally pick AJ last, but Chris has been mean to me. That hurts my feelings. No.
These are village tokens, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So you have 2 wealthy village tokens, and the goal is to gain 1 from each of the villages.
We shall see.
We shall see.
I'm going to choose the peddler.
Ooh. Good
Because I
perfect.
can exchange a village token for another village token of my choice.
That's a good call. So you can give one of those duplicates back. And which village token would you like in return?
I think this one.
She wants the fishing village.
Good
All
choice.
right.
That is one of the most difficult villages to complete goals
Go
in.
back to the supply. And then the other cards are going to come to me because I'm picking myself next. I'm going to pick myself.
I pick me.
And I am going to take the advisor. 3 favor and worth 3 VP at the end. So we'll show to that camera there. We'll show to this camera here. Something like that. So I gave my 3 favor, which is actually really good for me because I was down at 6. So I'll take that. Let me see here.
If you stick me with a peasant, I'll have a whole point.
I know. AJ has 2 village tokens. You have 3 village tokens. I'm going to Chris with it.
I did the eyelash thing.
I'm going to-
everything and everything.
I wasn't looking. I wasn't paying attention. I was distracted by the lighting in the room. I don't know. I was distracted by something shiny as usual.
Okay, so
What you got there?
I will take the fisherman, add a shrine to a stilt house in this village. You may complete a goal in this way. There are no available stilt houses, but it's not a peasant.
And the reason I had a decision to make because I could have. I was toying with the idea of giving AJ next choice because he's further away from cashing his village tokens in than you are. But I knew you had the peasant over there for her, so I would have been handing you a victory point.
Some
essentially.
value at least, right?
But I ended up giving you 2 victory points by giving you the fisherman.
I appreciate
so
your
either
your
way.
choice. All right, let's see some good cards.
Yeah,
here.
so we're now in the Holy Village, and Chris has a chain of 4 shrines, the red shrine, so he's going to get first pick. Lindsay has a chain of 2, so she will get the second pick. And then AJ and I are tied, and Lindsay's in the village, so Lindsay gets to pick her favorite person. No pressure.
James says, "What a handsome, smart-sounding young man is that, AJ?"
Ooh,
Hi,
James.
Dad.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Liz says hi.
Who?
Liz.
Liz Burke.
Yes.
Hi, Mom. My mom's home. My mom. Everybody say hi to my mom. She's home by herself. Dad left to go to Florida for Bike Week this week, and Mom couldn't go because she's recovering from knee surgery.
Aw,
So she was going to go, and she decided that her knee wasn't ready. So Mom's home by herself with the dog. Hi, Mom. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, Mark's mom.
All right, I'm going to
Your
take
dad
a
said you were
Gambushi.
intelligent and nice looking, and my mom just said hi.
That's not Nope. Actually, I'm going to take a musician and gain 1 favor or 1 nature.
Oh,
So card swap there.
Yeah,
One favor or one
that's
nature.
the noob ability. So
You want to take the favor,
raise
right?
that. Nice try.
I tried to trick the new player.
Where's the tie again?
So Lindsay controls the second longest chain
So
of 2
Lindsay's-
on the outside.
Alright.
Yep. Lindsay's going to take the next bit and then hand the cards to AJ because she's been dealing with
Someone
me all day.
did jump in and ask if there was a second camera. I did answer in the comments with the link for those of you that are curious. We only are able to use 1 camera through the Kickstarter live stream,
Yeah.
so we do have a YouTube one going as well that gives you a little bit of a wider angle. It allows us to zoom in and zoom out as well. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the comments.
It's a pretty high def camera too.
Yeah.
It definitely puts out a good picture.
We like Mevo.
Mevo.
Is that the name of the camera?
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mark's mom. Says
The-
several people. And get well soon.
That's awesome.
Aw.
That's awesome. She appreciates it, I'm sure.
I'm gonna select this one.
The Yamabushi.
Yamabushi.
There you go. I want to hear you say it. Yamabushi.
Add a shrine to a forest in this village. You may complete a goal in this way.
Right. So there is a forest over there.
And I'm just trying
Boom.
to take up some room here.
That's probably not, and you get 2 two forest.
2
you
nature.
get 2 nature
Nice, though.
for going in the forest.
Bloop, bloop.
You get 2 forests. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Then
And
you
then
choose
you
between
get to
Chris and I
choose.
for
No.
third.
No,
Between-
I was
No.
first.
Mark and I. Sorry. It's always been you and I. That's why.
Yeah.
It has been. So it's up to you as to where those cards go.
This is really hard for me.
Now Mark's getting 8 victory points, and I'm only getting 4.
That is true.
I also feel like I really need to be nice to Mark. So.
Oh, wow.
She needs to be
Nobody's
nice.
on the score track yet.
I know.
So.
We're looking at favor in nature, 4 versus
Yep.
8 right now. You need to be nice to me, Kira.
Just be mean and, I don't know,
Everybody wants to
win
be
the
mean.
game.
My mom would be in the comments telling you to be mean to me. I'm sure.
Aw, no, she
No, she wouldn't. Yeah, she.
Wow,
My mom.
straight to the mom card.
I know. Yeah, my mom is watching. Be nice to me. Okay.
I'm gonna go with AJ.
Oh.
AJ's dad is watching.
That is true, AJ. That's right. We both have a parent watching. I can't play that card anymore.
Neither of these help
There you go.
me.
And I get.
Oh, sorry. I
Hey.
got the artisan, which gives me 2 favor.
I love the artisan. She's so cute.
I got
2
the
victory.
Yamabushi, and since Lindsay took the forest, I can't take a forest, but I will take the 2 victory points at the end of the game.
Boom, boom.
So we've done the villager draft for all 4 villages now.
Your dad is good.
And so we will be, that's the end of the drafting phase. The next step is to score favor and nature tracks. So,
All right.
Once
So
you
we'll
guys
start-
are done with that, I'll have we'll take
Okay.
a pause so we can answer. a
So
couple
the teal
questions.
player, I have 8 nature and 9 favor, and you score the lower of the 2, so I will score 8 victory points.
boom, boom. All right, Lindsay. What is the lowest of your tracks?
I have 6 favor.
6 favor. So
So
you're going to gain
6.
6 victory points. All right,
I have
Chris.
5 nature.
5. All right. And I go up 4. Ooh.
If you are showing to this camera now because I moved it, make sure you show put it in on kind of in the middle of the board. They'll be able to see it well that way.
So down,
Sounds
kind of
good.
down here in this area.
Right there.
Right over the mountain.
Now everybody needs to reset their favor and nature tracks.
Yep.
And you're going to take your 4th action cube, and that is going to be available for the next year. We're going to rotate the board clockwise by 1/4. And the last thing is we're going to get rid of that gold card and reveal the new one, which is control a temple in 2 fields or 2 forests. So
And this
now
is
it's
an
going to be a fight
interesting-
for the outside.
Well, this is an interesting goal because the last goal, and this is what happens a lot in this game, and this is one of the things I love about it, is the last year we were focusing very heavily on the huts and the stilt houses. And now this goal says, hey, you need to be a fields and forests this time.
gonna be a
So
mad dash.
it flips it over, it flips it on its head to try to figure out. So those of us that were taking fields and forest in the last round because we couldn't take the huts and stilt houses are a little bit of an advantage because we're already in fields and forest, and that helps a lot. Doesn't help me over here, unfortunately.
So, before we start the next
Yep, we
year?
haven't started quite yet.
Okay, good.
We
so,
have questions.
Somebody, Daniel says hi to your mom too. That's awesome.
Daniel Zayas?
Yeah.
Daniel is awesome. Everybody say hi to Daniel.
Hi,
So,
Daniel.
a very nice young man who we'll call James has asked about the.
He's not young.
You don't know which
He's-
I'm talking about.
He's watching.
I'm gonna so that James can see your face while you.
You badmouth him? That's
Yes.
not. No.
So
He badmouths
we
me.
want to hear more about. We want to hear more about what inspired the game, AJ, for those who haven't heard yet.
Okay, so I spent a year living in Japan teaching English shortly after graduating college, and I just fell in love with Shintoism. I lived at the base of Mount Fuji, and it is just flooded with Shinto shrines. So I spent a lot of time walking past them, staying at them, attending all the festivals that I could, because those are just the most amazing thing in the world. So I wanted to celebrate Shintoism in the only way I knew how, which is to create a game based on it. Anyway, that's where the game came from.
Thank you so much, AJ. That's great to hear. All right,
So
guys,
awesome.
we're gonna go back to the board so you can see it better, and we'll go ahead and start year 2.
All right, year 2, Mizuchi. I need a temple, 2 fields, a temple and 2 fields, or a temple and 2 fortresses. Oh, I think what I'm going to do here. I'm gonna be boring. Actually, I think I'm going to remove Chris out of this field. Sorry, Chris.
Rage.
Yeah, you get in the rage for that. That's true. And you're in my way because I also need the temple, so I'm going to remove you out of the temple. So there's another rage for you,
Extra
sir.
rage.
Uber extra rage, and then
Rage
I'm
for
going
Mark killing.
I'm going to use my Wellspring ability, which lets me add a shrine in a field, forest, or stilt house, and I get to do 2 of those. So I'm going to go in this field and this forest, granting me 2 favor and 2 nature. And then I'll use my 4th action cube, since I have it, to go in the temple, and I will choose to take a. Wow, everything's full. Let's take a favor. And that gives me the temple, and I have 2 fields, so that's going to grant me the farming village token. So that was a pretty decent turn, except for the fact that I gave Chris a bunch of rage. We're over to Lindsay.
All right. I'm going to do Flourish, which is replace an opponent's shrine in a field or a temple in any village. You may exchange 1 village token for one that corresponds in that village. So I'm going to take this one, replace it.
So if you had completed the village goal right there, then you could have chosen any village token instead of the wealthy. But unfortunately, you still need another field
so I
and
should have done that
And
first.
the temple.
last.
It's gonna be tough to
I
get.
should have done that last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get 2 fields and a temple because you're blocking the other field as
I
well.
don't know what you're talking about.
Now you did, because you went in the field, you do still get the 2 favor, and in your case the 1 nature because of your ability.
Okay.
Well, still getting something. And you have a long shrine chain there for the influence.
Yeah. I figure no. That's
I
tough.
should have done that. I'm going to go here and then.
Gain a favor or a nature. So you may not be able to complete the goal this time, but you can set yourself up because you'll still have your flourish there for the next turn, where you can replace me in that field, and then complete the goal there. So right now you could just start messing with people.
There
grab
you
a
go.
forest.
Grab a forest. That
Great
gives you
move.
2 more nature, which is a great move because the way your power.
Well, sort
power
of jump
works,
in
yeah.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty powerful.
So,
Daniel jumped in to let everybody know on
That's good.
Facebook comments that he played this at Epic, which he was there with Travis.
Yep.
If anybody
Yep.
saw any of those
We
photos
saw the
on
big Daniel
Instagram.
Zayas smile holding up the game. It was an
Yeah.
awesome picture.
And he just thinks it's great and is wishing you success, of all of us actually, success in the campaign. So thank you so much, Daniel.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Daniel.
Daniel.
Appreciate it. glad you got to play, and glad you had fun despite playing with Travis. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness.
Travis is watching now too, isn't he? No.
Yeah, he is.
Travis is with his mom.
Travis
today.
is watching.
It's
yeah.
Parents' Day at Kolossal.
It's Parents' Day. Travis is hanging with his mom. My mom's watching. Your dad's watching. It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Hey guys, everybody's awesome.
I will use Soul Cut and remove one from my current village here, which
Okay,
gives me a
shrines.
4th rage,
No,
which will allow me to
Well, I'm
murder
the
a
only
mark
one- I'm the-
shrine.
I'm the only one
There
over
is
there.
no murder in this game. It is simply removing of shrines.
So I will remurder
Murder.
Mark shrine.
Murder.
It's not that one, okay?
Literally cutthroat.
Let's see, what was I doing? So we did that. Oh, I didn't. When I did that, actually didn't replace one in another village. So it will be. Sorry, Lindsay. We'll knock you out of the temple over there.
And for replace, you still gain a favor or a nature because you are replace is just a short
Right,
term for
so
removing it.
We will go ahead and make it a favor.
Not a bad move.
I really like that someone on Kickstarter's username is just. So it popped up just if you're watching right now. Just became backer 1165.
That's
So
awesome.
that. Congratulations, very well done.
And thanks for backing.
Justin,
And thank you for
Justice.
Justin,
Or it could
Just
just be so
Kickstarter.
that they can have.
Justine.
I used to have a screening when I was a kid. So he says to me. So it was always like I was telling a story. So
So he says
I hope
to
they
me,
had
and
that. I hope
that's
they did it on
fantastic.
purpose and it was the same idea.
I like it a lot. That's awesome.
Very clever.
All right. I
Love it.
will then place one of mine in the forest here, gaining 2 nature. Then I will remove a shrine. We don't want to do that. Alright, we'll add a shrine to a still house in this one, gaining 1 rage. Oh, I was back to 0, so now I'm at 1. And then I will just do the basic and add to the field here, gaining 2 favor.
Boom, boom.
Not bad.
All right.
Alright.
I'm going to start off by removing 2, and I'm sorry, Lindsay, but you're the one that's right there where I need to be.
Alright, guys.
Don't look
It was
at
all
me.
marked right here.
You get your favor or nature for cutting her out.
Yes,
too.
I do. So I gain 1 favor, 1 nature for the first one, 1 favor, and nature for the second one. And then I'm just going to add 2 because I can't get into the temple this turn, but I'm going to make my way back there. Then I gain 2 more favor and 2 more nature.
Balancing those out. Look at you.
So I'm at 3 and 3.
We're back to me. I was the first player, so we're going to rotate the board again. Give a bit of a rotation.
Boom.
Boom. This token will stay here. Lindsay is now our first player.
Alright.
I don't like what's going on over here.
I got a good feeling about that village.
Do you? I don't. One of us should. Reset my action tokens, action cubes.
AJ's mom is watching as well. How about that?
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Evelyn.
That's awesome.
At least that's her username. That is your mom's name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be an odd username. Just choose a random different name.
Hey, it might be
Ma-
something she
That'd be
really likes
fun.
in a movie or a book.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mine's Todd.
Todd. I like
Hi,
it.
Todd.
I like Todd.
Chris, why are they calling you Todd online?
Because
Just because.
So this one says remove one of your shrines in a field in your current village to remove up to 2 shrines in your current village.
Oh
Ooh, good
no.
Do it.
So can I remove this one?
You can.
Travis
Yes,
says,
you
"Get Lynn's, take no prisoners."
So the beautiful thing about that ability is it also frees up the fields for you to go back and reactivate your passive, which is where
Man.
Hala really
Got
shines.
I feel like
down
I'm passing
twice.
notes in school now. On Facebook, your dad is saying hi to your mom.
Oh.
It's on Kickstarter. So your mom's on Kickstarter, your dad's on Facebook.
That's
My parents
awesome.
don't talk
That's
directly.
really cute.
you're
No
omnipresent
passing.
right now, AJ.
You're
So Lindsay was able to use 1 action cube to remove 2 shrines.
That seems good.
And she still has 3 action cubes left, so she's used 2 of them to pop into the forest, or the field, and the temple.
And
she
did
still
you
has
each gain a favor from that?
Oh, I did not.
Opponents
Favor.
with shrines removed, and this way gain 1 favor.
Yeah,
So
one
it's
favor.
almost-
So I would gain 1 favor because I only lost 1. I lost 2 shrines, but I'm the opponent, so I would
Yes.
only gain the 1. I don't gain it
Oh.
twice, even though 2 shrines were removed.
Boom, boom.
So you went into the temple, so you get your forest, or I would say forest. You get your nature or favor, one or the other, your choice. And then you also went in the field over here, so you get 2 nature, or 2
2
favor,
favor, 1
and 1
nature.
nature. I'm confusing everybody. You just stop talking.
And
and
then-
now you still have an action cube left, so you still have an action to take. And I don't like what happened to me there. That hurt me. That hurt my soul.
Well, you controlled like half the village. It was
I
bound to
know.
happen.
It's true. I had a chain of 6 shrines.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I'm
that's
just gonna
exactly
put
what
it
she was
there.
going to
There
do.
you go.
So you're going to get 2 favor and 1 nature again because of your passive ability, and you get the farming village token because you were in 2 fields and a temple. So that was a very well played turn.
Very well played.
So you should-
Parents now I just need my mom to jump in, and then
Absolutely. We need to start just everybody share it out to your family and be like, hey, mom and dad, all the parents are partying with us. Come have a party on Kickstarter and Facebook.
So, let's see.
Alright.
What's the play?
What is the play?
I don't know, but I bet it involves removing that lone Mizuchi shrine out of his. Seems to be his
No,
play. That seems to be his
I
play.
think I'm gonna have to start a little trouble with Lindsay.
Yeah, because she's in some
Seems
spaces
to
you
be a
need.
trend lately.
Well, your total domination of us
Here.
is getting out of hand.
This is true.
So I'm gonna remove this one.
I think Lindsay is getting the game. What do you guys think?
I think so. She's,
think she's got it.
Look
she's
at those
picking it up.
victory points.
There are a lot of white shrines over there.
And I'm going to add here. Then I'm going to remove Lindsay again.
Ooh.
Rude.
And I'm going to add myself again. And I'm done.
Well,
Alright.
Relatively peaceful.
relatively peaceful,
I'm going to remove
except from Lindsay's perspective.
Ketsugetsu, who
Oh.
gains a rage.
Oh, Ketsugetsu just got mad.
Mark, who gains nothing.
I gain nothing. I just get my
She
shrine back.
sounded way
I'm
too
gonna
happy
gain
about that.
favor of
He
nature.
always does. That's why I pick on him.
You guys,
I always pick on AJ because he picks on me.
I didn't get
I'm
any
going to the forest.
favors or
Bloop, bloop.
natures there, right?
No.
no.
Okay. It's just because mine.
Correct.
Okay.
He got rage when his shrine because that's his ability. Whenever someone removes him, he gets angry, which
Okay.
makes sense.
That's his passive, just like you get the bonus from the fields. Alright, and I just completed the goal, so I gained the fishing village token for going Forest Temple. Alright, pass the turn to Mark.
And I gotta figure out where in the world I'm gonna go to try and get this token. Well, I may just have to remove. Here's a rage for you there, Chris.
So much rage.
So
Shrine
close,
back.
he's about to pop.
I know.
You don't want to be the one to break the pinata.
We're gonna add.
Different culture.
We're gonna add to
Well, other sides of the planet, but you know. I'm
temple,
sure there's some
and I'm going to
sort
take a nature for that. And then I think I'm going to remove. I apologize, Lindsay. I know this is your only shrine over here, but it's in my way. So
So, if
We're
you don't
removing
control
Lindsay.
a shrine in a village at the end when we're passing out villagers, you don't get a villager.
and I'm going to go into the forest and take 2 nature.
Because how could you?
That is
You
2
don't have any
forests
influence.
and a temple, which gives me the holy village
That's
token.
my favorite rule about the villagers.
Boom. Holy village token. And that is the end of my turn. We move to Lindsay, who
Got it.
was our first player.
You gotta
You
be
gotta
present.
work for it.
So you do, you really do. So we're gonna rotate the board. Give it a good little quarter turn here, flip, flip.
So before we go
Flip,
into
flip.
year 3,
And first player over here is now moved on to Chris. We're halfway through year 2 now.
Okay.
You have other questions?
before we move into year 3, I think that would be great. Jonathan just became a backer. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Jonathan.
Appreciate it.
AJ, tell us a little bit about the goals. I want to hear more about the goals and how they were developed to be what they are today.
So the goals were a later edition of the game because the original villages were kind of like spread out and didn't look like this really like a village that was built by a city planner that has OCD or something. Because the villages, our huts were scattered all out and looked a little bit more natural as they were spread out on a mountain. Then we wanted to make the game look beautiful at the end. You know, everything is forming nice little patterns. So like, how can we do that? So we brought everything together in little rows, and we wanted to encourage players for building things or building little patterns like white shrines and then red shrines, so it looks pretty. And we did that through the goals. At first we had one village, 4 spaces around the mountain, so it was the same thing and pretty easy to make the goals, make sure they were all able to be completed. But we were talking about future expansions and how we wanted to change things up, and it didn't make sense for the same village to be in 4 different spaces. So we came up with asymmetric villages and had to come up with different goals that work in each of the villages.
Yeah.
That still encourage players to chase or have a little direction when they start the game. So the goals are a great help for new players. They give you an idea how to gain victory points without jumping straight into the middle of this whole mix-up with do I go after favor or nature? Should I be stopping this guy from getting influence to gain my villagers? So.
Yeah. Well, and the goals add also, one of the things that I think is cool about the goals, and I hear Travis use this term a lot, and I'm going to steal from him, the dopamine hits, that kind of feel good. As soon as you complete that goal, you take that village token. You don't have to wait to get the village token, so you don't have to complete the goal and then hope you make it to the end of the year and your shrines are still there. As soon as you complete that goal, you get the village token. So it's a little bit of a feel-good moment, a little bit of a dopamine hit. And the game's full of those little moments.
Yeah.
So, yes, people are coming in, they're cutting your shrines out, but I already got my holy village token, so I don't care if my shrines get pulled out of the way now. I already got my token that I needed. So that's another really cool aspect that the goals provide for you, is you still have those feel-good moments even though your shrines are being removed, because you already got your benefit over there. It may affect you in influence for the villagers, but you already got the token, which you can really score a lot of points by cashing those in.
You get some sort of consolation.
Exactly.
Alrighty, year 3.
So,
Well,
second half
we're
of
still-
year 2.
We're
Second half
second
of
half of
year
year
two,
2.
Yeah.
So we're over with
I thought we
Chris
were
as our
getting ready
first
to
player.
finish
Okay.
year 2 and then go to year 3, sorry.
So I will
Jared got
remove
distracted.
the Lindsay.
Remove a Lindsay.
We're halfway through and you just move the board around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
Because the 2 advent tokens are
Yeah,
on
we've got a
opposite
token here and a
sides.
token over there. So that's one of the nice things about the advent tokens being on the board, is you can always see how many turns are left, because when they line back up, the year's over. So looking now, we've got this turn. It's going to rotate again, and we'll have another set of turns. So you know that before we do the village token, or before we do villagers, and score favor nature, you're going to have 2 more turns, because you're going
That's
to go.
good.
And so it's a nice way to gauge how much time you
Yeah,
have
you
left,
just
so to
rotated
speak.
the board, that's why I thought we were going to year
We did rotate the board, but it's because we were at the end of a turn, not the end of the year.
Duh. It's the end of the day on Friday, folks.
Well, and you're managing chats in how many
Yeah.
different applications right now?
That is true. A little distracted. Well, I'm making sure that mom and dad are passing notes really well. They're gonna go see a movie tonight. And
Which
they're gonna have
movie?
dinner.
I think she's
Black
making.
Panther, I think.
Black Panther?
I don't know. I didn't get that specific. I just want to make sure.
I feel like your parents want to go see Bruce Willis in Death Wish. They strike me as, I've never met your parents, but they seem to be Bruce Willis people. No, not at all. I'm not even sure what I'm saying at this point. I was just trying to think of a movie that was in theaters now that would be kind of funny for.
I didn't even know that was in theaters right now.
It's live last Friday, I think.
Alright, I'm going to remove Mark.
No.
We just have the cutest families, is what I've decided. They're all adorable.
And I'm just going to add to the field.
2 more favor.
Yeah.
I'm in that favor track.
Yeah, need a little nature.
So
We're
you
working
need a little
on it.
bit of nature.
Little nature. Alright, I'm
Little
done.
nature boy.
All right. Fortunately, my turn can be repetitive, but I am going to finally complete the first set of village tokens. So, white player Lindsay, I just removed 2 of your shrines.
Oh, you lost 2
Oh,
shrines.
I'm
Lindsay.
getting removed all over the place, guys. Come on.
And let's see, I'm going to gain a favor, or I'm going to gain 2 nature for doing that with my passive. I'm going to add 2 shrines. 1 into the field, giving me 2 favor, and 1 into the temple, giving me 1 more favor. And I just completed the goal.
No.
Give me the wealthy village token, and I got 1 from each, giving me 6 victory points and taking the lead.
Oof.
Jump up to 10.
Rage.
Hurts. Rage indeed.
Right.
Uh,
Rage.
And unfortunately for
Hey,
myself,
I didn't hurt you on the way. I hurt Lindsay.
You're hurting me now, though.
Let's not hurt you.
and see, this
Just
is
remove shrines.
this is one of those goals. Yeah, this is one of those goals that
Nice.
doesn't play into Mizuchi's hand.
Nice.
You have
Because-
Wellspring.
Because correct, but the issue that I have with and it's not an issue that I have with Mizuchi, because I love Mizuchi. That's not what I meant. What I'm saying is because the goal cares about the fields and the forest, Mizuchi works best in the stilt houses.
That's
So
true.
in the last round when we had the stilt house goal, it was great for her because she loves the stilt houses. I do have the Willspring ability, which lets me do a field, a forest, or a stilt house, and I can do 2 of those. I guess there is a field open. I guess I could probably do this, can't I? No, I can't. I don't have enough cubes to do what I need to do. But anyway, we're going to remove Chris.
Can you-
There's a
can
rage
you
for you there.
Wait,
Tell
I
us what
pop
you were thinking.
immediately.
Point at what you were thinking about.
Yeah, my
doing.
thinking-
I've got it zoomed in on the
Yeah, my thought process here, Chris was here, I just popped him out of here. My thought process is now these 2 fields are open. I need the temple. So I would need to be able to remove from here, add to both fields, remove from here, and add to the temple in only 4 action cubes. And I don't think I have the action cubes to do that. Because it cost me an action cube to remove you out of my way.
Yes, and just
I
to be
could
clear,
use
that,
an action cube. Oh, that
that
gave me...
rage popped me.
Oh, which means
So
I lost
you
a
get to
shrine.
die for your
Wow,
trouble.
that hurt. So I used one of my cubes to remove that, so I only have 3 action cubes left, and I would have to use an action cube to pull out of here to pull AJ out of this temple, which would only leave me 2 action cubes to place into 3 spaces. And with Mizuchi's abilities, I do have an ability that lets me add to a field, a forest, or a stilt house, and I can choose 2 of those, but I cannot do 2 forests with that, or two
Correct.
fields with that. I have to do 2 of those 3 spaces.
Yes.
So I couldn't. I'm close to being able to do it, but because of the way the ability's set up, I cannot. So I'm just going to have to set myself up and hope that I can pop over there in some other way. Because this is the token that I need is the fishing village.
I believe in you,
So,
Mark.
you believe in me?
I believe.
I believe in me. We're going to place into the field where I just pulled Chris.
Yay.
Sure, that gives me 2 favor. I will use my Wellspring action to go into a field and a field, forest, or that doesn't do me any good because the stilt houses aren't open. So I guess what I'll do, I'm going to go ahead and remove AJ out of the temple anyway,
Ooh.
and then we'll just add to the temple, and I will take a nature for that, balancing those tracks out. And it is over
Achievement unlocked, right?
Well, yeah, but I need that fishing.
Oh no, you
forest
don't have
token.
the.
I don't have
field.
the field
Of the
right
forest.
there. I was close. If the Wellspring would have let me choose 2 fields, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But because the ability doesn't do that, so we're over to
Alright.
Lindsay here, who gets to try and get some influence in this village, so she can at least get some villagers. Because we've kind of taken that away from her.
Oh,
I know. I would say we're picking on the new kid on the block, but there are 2 new kids at the table. Are we picking on both of them?
Trying to.
They're kind of picking on us, I think.
I know.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
I strongly support your decision, Lindsay.
Chris is anti-me at this point.
You're not slaughtering me, desecrating my shrines.
This is true. This is true.
Okay.
You get a shrine back. So I got popped out of the field. Ooh. That's going to grant you the 2 favor and the 1 nature because of your passive ability. So you're also going to get a nature for that.
So good.
It is. It keeps those tracks really balanced.
I don't know if I'm making good decisions, but we'll see.
It looks like you
Remove
are.
this so that I
I
can
think she's doing
move
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
2.
Ooh.
Oh, it hurt my heart. You get 1 more to remove as well.
I'm gonna remove this.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a
Ooh.
rage.
Easy.
Rage for Ketsugetsu over there. Ketsu Krisu. No,
No.
No,
doesn't work as well.
wrong.
That's blood, Chris.
Rage.
Blood Chris, Blood Rage. What was like? Remember what it was we were playing? I kept calling Kevin. I kept mixing Kevin's name up with one of the players. I don't remember what game we were playing then.
Was I there for that?
And you
Oh,
went
no.
to the temple.
Oh, it was
so
common. Maybe
she
it
gets
was a-
one or the other, right? When she
One
goes
or
in.
the other, 1 favor or 1
Also, I don't
nature.
believe you took your nature.
No, you did not take your nature. So you go and you get 1 nature because you went into the field earlier,
Okay.
and now going into the temple you get 1 nature or 1 favor, your choice. And of course you're going to score the lower of the 2 tracks.
Right.
There you go. And we're back to Chris, who was our first player. So we're going to rotate again.
Alright.
rotation, and
This
we are
is
in
the last round
round
of the year.
Of
round
the year.
of the year, round board, last
Yeah.
round. I get it.
Turning the round board.
All right.
And AJ's our first player over in the farming village.
No, I'm definitely not getting the goal in this village, so I just need to look for the best ways I can mess people up. Which looks like I need to remove Lindsay again so I can keep
Sorry, Lindsay.
growing this chain. Sorry. Not sorry. Alright.
Sorry, not sorry.
Then I'm going to go on ahead. So I gain 1 nature for doing that. I'm going to plop a shrine into this field, gain 2 favor. And I want to start breaking up some chains.
Chain. Oh, wow.
Alright.
I immediately started to go into a Game of Thrones, Daenerys.
Oh, breaker of chains.
And then instantly
So you
forgot all of it.
you went Game of Thrones breaker of chains, and I went Chain of Fools.
I'm going to wither
you did.
Chris over
That's
here.
That's
Oh.
what happened.
That's what happened.
Where'd that
That's the
happen?
whole thing.
That just
Uh,
shows that
I
you have way
removed
more
you
nerd
from
cred
so
than I
much
do.
rage.
I went old world music.
Oh wait, I can. I'm gonna. Chris, it looks like you need my help over here, so I'm gonna Requiem to move over here into the forest and gain 2 nature. But Chris, you gain 1 favor or 1 nature because I'm such a great guy.
Nature rage fading.
There you go,
Rage fading.
buddy. I made up for it.
A little. A little. I mean, it was better than what they do.
I know.
This is
see?
true. This
I'm
is
a
very
forgiving
true.
death spirit.
Now, see, I'm looking over here in this village, and I see that with 4 action cubes, I'm not going to be able to get the goal. Because I am not in any fields or forests or temples at this point.
I
There's
gave up
no
on mine,
way
too.
in the world. So, yeah, I'm essentially giving up on attaining a goal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use basic remove, add and remove actions. I'm going to remove, and we're going to pop AJ out of this field.
Oh.
And I'm going to go into that field so I can take the 2 favor for that. I'm going to pop Lindsay out of this forest down here. And then I'm going to use the basic add to go into that forest and gain my 2 nature. So I at least pick up a couple of victory points, even though I couldn't complete the goal. Hoping for villagers, especially in that fishing village. So we're over to Lindsay now. That fishing village took. You want to I'll trade you a farming village token for your fishing. I can't do that. This is not a bar. There's no bargaining in this game. No negotiation.
Maybe in Kolossal 2.0.
That'd be awesome. Make and break alliances. Is that a different Japanese themed game?
I think so.
Alright, let's see how she wreaks havoc.
She's going into those fields.
So
I mean,
that's
that's
2.
her bread
That's,
and
so that's
butter.
going to
It
give you
is.
2 favor.
That's going to max you out on the
So you
favor
get your 2
track.
favor, and you also get 1 nature from
Boom,
that.
Amazing.
Look, that's where she camps.
Yeah, it is. She's
Going to
Hala is brutal at climbing that track.
use my harvest again, taking this one away, but I can also remove
don't do
that one.
Whoa.
Oh, she's going to try and take over the temple.
This one.
Wow. That hurts.
She needs those fields open, right?
Yeah, she does.
She likes the fields. Hala is a fan of the field.
I'm trying to stay out of the stilt houses because that's where Mark is going to. That's his wheelhouse.
Well, I haven't done it in year 2 because the goal doesn't care about the stilt houses, so
Oh,
you've lucked out in that regard. My ability, for those who wonder what in the world they're talking about, with Mizuchi being the river spirit, I can use my basic add or remove shrine ability, which allows me to add or remove a shrine in my current village. I can use that ability in a stilt house anywhere on the board. So for everyone who's sitting in stilt houses, they're in a little bit of danger of me just popping in and removing them and then popping into that space. But lucky for you, the stilt house has no bearing on the goal this year, so I don't. The goal doesn't care about the stilt house, so right now I don't care about the stilt house. Although I'm not playing very smartly because I've only got a couple of shrines and a couple villages.
What's she going to do?
I'm nervous.
I'm going to replace an opponent's shrine in a field or temple in any village.
Whoa.
Ooh, that's nice.
Whoa.
And get her some extra favor. Well, nature.
And I think I'm going to do this.
Why? I've been so nice to you.
Change the village.
That's a lie. I've removed you more than anyone.
Strongly approve of that choice.
Don't forget to give yourself one favor or one
Yep,
nature.
yeah,
I
one.
think I
Correct.
favor nature.
Yep.
Man.
All right, that was 4.
That's
So
kinda
we
brutal.
jump over to Chris.
All right. Let's see. What's the plan here? We
I don't
will.
know, but I bet it somehow involves removing my shrines. That seems to be
I
the.
mean, I think AJ is going to get it a little bit this time.
Hey.
All right. So
We're the development team, man.
That's true. All right. So I'm going to add a shrine to a still house in a region, which will be here. Gives me 1 rage.
Goes through his kata ability.
Kata.
Yes.
Kata.
Then I will use my soul cut to remove one of my shrines in my current village,
Gaining a
which
rage.
pops me to 4,
And let you remove someone adjacent to
which
you.
will be an AJ.
Another
Wow.
AJ? Wow.
That's
You know, I don't
true.
get rage like you.
Well, you're the
Yeah.
only one that's adjacent to him, though. He had 3 shrines.
Which
to pick
allows
from,
me
and they
to
were all
replace
yours.
one in another region, which will be this one,
Ooh.
which will give me my full set of tokens as a result of achieving the goal.
Look at
There
that.
it is.
So
and
we
he
have
takes the
2.
lead, jumping from
Yes.
5 to 11 points.
Could combo
6.
power.
That's nice. That's very nice. And don't forget, you win in the temple, so you also get 1 favor or 1
Correct,
nature.
which I need the nature. Then
That's
I
an impressive
will
move.
play here.
Grabbing
Gaining
some more nature.
More nature.
Oh, man.
And go up to 6. And down out of moves over here. I've got the
Take over the field.
yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. I think that's my only good play. So I will just go ahead and plan for the future and go into the fields.
And gain 2 favor.
2
Yeah.
favor.
All right. I was the
Wow.
first player, so the border rotates, and the 2 admin tokens have met up, which means it's the end of the year and time to hand out villagers.
Prizes.
No. All right, so we're going to draw a card from the top of the farming deck equal to the number of players. Then it looks like I have a chain of 4,
Yes.
followed by Chris's chain
Chris's
of
chain
3.
of 3, and then
Chris gets to choose between the 2 of you.
all right,
Hmm.
I get the peasant that's left over. Then that's what's
Hmm.
gonna happen here. He's gonna pick you. He's gonna be nice to you.
I don't know about that.
Is
Look
it
at her
between me?
points she's getting with favorite nature.
That is true. She's grabbing a lot of points, and she's only 1 token away from grabbing another 6.
So,
although
I grabbed
she fares.
the elder of the village, giving me a farming village token and 2 victory points, and I get to scratch the kitty. Keep the kitty scratches.
Wow. Did you get your
What?
farming token?
I did.
Okay. I just want to make sure you weren't too busy petting the cat.
Well, you remember that one person that posted about the kitty?
I do
Stephanie,
remember that.
think?
I think it was Stephanie.
Yeah. I remember.
Okay.
Stephanie.
Made her a custom card.
I will take the musician
Ooh.
and gain 1 favor or 1 nature, making it the nature, but taking the 2 VP at the end game. And let's see.
This is where the decision comes in, because you can look and see who would benefit from the villagers you're looking
Ah,
at. And
that has to be in this village, correct?
No, they gain that token.
Oh.
One of them really needs that token.
So we're going to give that to Lindsay.
and hope she picks up on the fact that I need that token.
I don't know. There's
If
no
that's the
peasants
case-
this time. I'll
If that's
say
the
that.
case, if I need the fishing village token, so I'm guessing that just from my knowledge, I'm guessing that the card in question, I think I know what it is, and she's going to take it.
I don't
I
know
hope so.
if that
Oh,
one's hard to
she
read
took
or
it
not,
from me.
but
That's a good decision.
You mean the traveler. Good choice.
She took the traveler. The traveler gives the village token from essentially the opposite
Yeah.
village, so we're in the farming village. So she gains the fishing village token, which would have granted me 6 points.
Would
I
applause be out of line?
Good job,
Thanks,
Lindsay.
thanks.
Good job.
Yes, it would be out of line. No. So I get the monk, who gives me 1 victory point at the end of the game and 1 nature. The nature doesn't do anything for me, at least not now. We'll see what happens
Still
with the
have
other
3
villagers.
villages.
So I have 3 villages. Hopefully I can get something that lets me have that fishing token. I'm 2 years in, haven't cashed anything in yet. That feels weird. Over here, wealthy village. We have Chris with a chain of 3.
Everybody else.
Everybody else with a chain of 1,
one.
and Lindsay determining the order of the final 3
There
people.
you go,
I know who
Chris.
finishes second in that village.
Yeah, she's going to pick AJ to go second.
Oh,
No.
we do like that guy.
She'll probably pick herself, I would think.
Yeah.
Think she'd want to go
I
second?
don't know. I can be very
No.
charismatic.
Oof.
I did bring her an orange juice.
Cut it. Ooh, that's true.
All right.
yeah.
I will take
Okay,
the
good
No
point.
pulp.
Shijin, gain 2 nature and 2 VP,
Wow, you need that 2 nature. Look at that.
You bet I do.
Ooh.
There's the lovely balancing of the villages.
That's the beauty of the
I am gonna
villagers. They help you
select
balance
myself.
those
I
traits.
thought you might.
Of course. Well, of course. You're only human, right?
I mean, Chris, you went from scoring, what, 6 victory points to now 9 thanks to villagers?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's made a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, the villagers can really swing that.
Is why I usually like to hover around the 10 mark. What was that?
Why the village and gaining and making sure you have lots of shrines and the villagers are in love with you, that's good because
Yeah.
you get to choose which villagers are.
Yeah.
That's what the game's all about.
Because you're getting to pick that villager rather than just saying, here, this is what's left. You get
Yes.
this.
And there's a
Well,
huge
well,
swing
well,
in the
well,
power of the
Exactly.
villagers.
I might be full of rage, but I'm very lovable.
Because they know that your rage is
Uh-oh.
not directed at them.
No.
Oh, here it goes.
Uh-oh, what is it?
I'm selecting the peddler. You may exchange
Oh.
one village token for another village token of your choice.
She's
Really
got
good.
it.
I know.
So
Look at
if you
that.
guys wouldn't have told me all the good information
Well, you
I
get to keep
needed.
that.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you get to keep the
Wrong
peddler.
thing.
There
Thank
you go.
you.
And then
And then
And then either AJ or myself.
you're going to trade all of them in.
Yeah, so you're going to trade
For
all your
6
village
victory
tokens
points.
For 6
Oh,
victory
sorry.
points.
And
Ooh,
that
look at
puts
this.
you in the lead.
Anthony,
I am in
just
the-
became a backer.
Hi, Anthony.
Welcome,
Thank
Hi,
you.
Anthony. Thank you.
And I am now
Oh,
in
thank you.
last place. Wah, 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 because I, of the 4 of us, am the only one who has not cashed in village tokens this game.
I'm going to take the geisha, giving me 1 victory point and additionally 1 victory point.
Give me that lovely peasant.
There he is.
Yes! I got a peasant.
No, maybe we should
I would
have
like
a
to point
contest
out-
like in Western Legends to name all the peasants.
I would like
That
to
actually
point out
worked
that every
horribly.
peasant that I have achieved, that I've been given, this game has come from the wealthy village. So they may be peasants, but they're wealthy peasants. We are in the fishing village now.
You're in the fishing village. Let's see, 1,
And-
2, 3, 4. And it looks like Lindsay
like
cleans
Lindsay.
up here. And
And hopefully,
wow,
we all have a chain of 1.
I have a population of 3 though.
Oh.
And then Chris has a population of 2, and because everybody felt like removing Mark this time.
And I
Wah,
need,
wah.
and that's bad for me
Hold
because
on.
I need the fishing
Oh,
village.
You can keep it long enough. I was going to zoom in on your
Here,
sad
here, I'll have a
face.
sad face.
I'm going to zoom in on that.
Wah, wah,
At least he has cool hair.
wah. Oh, I shouldn't smile, so be sad. Pouty face. Sad face.
I'm gonna do this
Too much fun
one.
on the live streams.
Gain 2 nature.
Oh, look at that! She maxed both tracks out.
Ooh,
That's awesome.
12 points.
Wow.
And she's already in the lead.
Yeah.
Praise.
It's gonna be hard. She's gonna be hard to catch, but it's possible.
It's possible.
And then you get, and then the cards are going to go to AJ next because while we each have a chain of 1, the tiebreaker is most population since no one's in the temple.
After the temple, yeah.
Are
Yeah.
the tokens, if you haven't cashed them in, worth any points?
One
at the end?
victory
One
point
victory
at the end of the game
Okay.
per
I
token.
don't know if I
Oh,
did the
wow.
right card.
No, that's right because you needed that's definitely worth it for you. Although I don't know what else is in the deck, so
Did I make the right choice?
I don't know. We don't know what
I
AJ
think
just
Was
picked.
the choice? Yeah, because I got the fisherman, and there's no
There are no
still
still
houses,
houses.
so he's just 2 victory points, and he's also one of my favorite pieces of art in the game.
Whereas
Is that
with yours, you grab,
I really
you balance your
appreciate
tracks out. You grab 2 extra victory points here because otherwise you would have
Sorry,
scored 10. So you grab
touch
2
the camera
plus
and slip.
the card you grabbed is worth victory points at the end. So
Yeah.
even though you
Okay.
gave him 2 victory points, you essentially just netted 4.
So if
Okay.
you
Three.
scroll down the Kickstarter page and you look for the fisherman animation, I really enjoy
Oh, yeah,
how
what's
our,
I
how
like
Kevin animated the fisherman. He's great.
Yes, Kevin did an amazing job with the Kickstarter page. All right, who wants a peasant?
Oh, really?
They're both peasants.
Peasant!
One full point.
We both do.
One full
We
point.
both got peasants that smell like fish because they came from the fishing village.
Because they've been fishing all
Now we are in the holy village. We have Chris with a chain of 3 is going to go first, and then AJ has a chain of 2,
The beloved rage
and then
comic.
Lindsay and I are tied, but Lindsay's in the temple, so I'm probably going to get another peasant.
Maybe you can bribe her.
No, I
And
can't.
get out the wallet.
Interesting.
There's nothing in the wallet to bribe her with. You want my driver's license? Is that right?
Sure, why not?
Bribery.
I'll take whatever you got.
It's a good power.
driver's license. I've got a
This is
No
speedy,
the Holy
guarantee
Village,
that it
correct?
got a
goes to you,
speedy
though.
rewards card from Speedway.
Alright. Well, I will take
I don't ever use it. I don't
the
think.
Elder, gain 1 Holy Village token, and 2
Ooh.
in-game VP.
That's not bad
Good
at all.
choice.
We're gonna go to AJ, who's going to
Oh,
take.
that was close.
Where'd you grab, AJ?
Oh, so I grabbed the priest, which gives me 3 nature and 3 victory points.
Nice.
Making on that end game, and my nature is now max, going up by 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done anything for me, so.
Between you and
Doesn't
me.
do much for
Yep.
me, but I mean 3
Sure
victory
is.
points.
Hey,
but
I got a peasant.
that is hopefully going to help you.
peasant.
Lindsay got a peasant. Peasants and
peasants.
peasants. Well,
Peasant pet. Maybe
Welcome
they know
to
each
the
other.
club.
all right. So we've done villagers now.
So now it's
Favor
time
nature?
to score the favorite nature track. So Mark, what did you get?
I have 9 nature, but only 8 favor, so 8 points for me.
So you go from 8 to 16. All right, Lindsay, what do you have?
12.
She's maxed out her tracks at
So
12
again,
each.
we go from 12 to 24.
She's
It's a
double.
commanding
Wow.
lead. Well, you doubled yours.
I did double. Yeah, but I only doubled
Crushing.
8.
Chris, how many do you have?
9 on both tracks.
9. So you go from 11 to 20, and I had 11, or 11 favored 12 nature, so I go from 10
to 21.
to 21. It's close. Chris and I are neck and neck, but not too far behind Lindsay.
We're at 24, 21, 20, and 16 because I'm awesome at this game.
Wow.
All right, we reset favor and nature tracks back to 0. Everybody's going to grab your 5th action cube for the 3rd year. I actually have a stand-in shrine because I don't have my 5th action cube.
We lost one during the
We are
opening
going
night.
to rotate the board again,
One more
passing
time. And
the
the other
token,
token.
over this time,
Oh, shrine down.
and shrine down.
Oh.
I knocked on my own shrine.
Not shrine down.
Shine down, great band.
I know.
And we have a new goal this year, which hopefully cares about the stilt houses.
Yeah, it does. It is control a stilt house in 2 fields or 2 forests.
Yes.
So, we were working towards that in the last one. And this
I'm
is going to
excited.
come up this year. If you already control the pattern,
Yes.
you still have to add to it in some way. So I'm sure this has already happened somewhere.
Right here, Chris has a stilt house and 2 fields.
Yes.
He still has to take an action in this village in order to gain that village token. You don't get
Adding
it just
to
when your
a
turn
field or a
goes around.
stilt house.
A field or a stilt, or he could somehow, if he wanted to do
To
2
gain the
forests.
2 forests,
You have to
some
take
way.
an action in some way. So he could literally use a remove action to pop his own shrine out, gain a rage in his case, and then pop it back in with another action.
Boom. Yeah, which
And
for
it
him
would do it.
works.
For him would work because of that rage.
Very angry, even when it cuts himself.
So,
It's
but
like
I-
stubbing your own toe.
I'm Mizuchi, and I'm excited to see the stilt houses finally come into play because now I can
It's
wreak a
your
little
time
havoc.
to shine. You need to pull it in from last
I'm
place. I wanna see it.
excited.
Oh, and everybody reset your favorite nature tracks, which I guess was just me.
Just you.
All right.
And we are
now we
to
start
start
with
year
Lindsay.
3. Are there any questions before we start year 3, Kieran?
Now's the time for the
or anything?
questions, or for more
For
parents
us
to